What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Joe Culpepper Outdoors. I'm Joe Culpepper, and today, as you can probably guess, we're going to talk about a new bow. So I actually got this bow about 4 months ago now, and been flinging some arrows downrange with it the whole time. And so I guess this is somewhat of a long-term review, somewhat of a short-term review, depending on how you want to look at it, but got this bow back in April and been flinging arrows downrange with it ever since. So let's kind of go over the good, the bad on this bow, and kind of what my goals are coming into deer season 25, which we actually only have a couple more weeks here in Georgia till we get to that point. So this right here is the Elite Ethos. This is last year's bow from 2024. And I almost purchased this bow in 2024 and decided not to for a few different reasons, but they still had one in the shop, so still had one new. So let me move my chair over a little bit here. But so I decided to go ahead and pick it up this year and kind of see what the deal was with the Elite. So with this bow, I was able to confirm a few things in my mind about Elite, some prior opinions I had, and also changed a few little opinions that I had in my mind. So with the Ethos, this is a 33 ATA bow. It's fairly quick, especially for the axle-to-axle length. It is very, very stable. It is an extremely accurate platform to shoot off of. And that was one of the big reasons that I actually purchased this bow. Is I always have this thought in my mind that Elite builds just a super stable bow. And that was really confirmed with this one. It is extremely easy to shoot accurately, easy to shoot well. And with the layout of the bow, it functions very well. Especially with me purchasing it to lean more towards a target bow than a hunting bow or a traditional hunting bow like my Mathews V3, which I still have. But so I do want to go over to what I don't like about this bow. And one of the things that I really despise about this bow is the draw cycle. So maybe I should back up a little bit. And I don't completely despise it. I don't hate the draw cycle, but I don't love it either. And part of that too comes from me shooting two separate bows at the same time from two different companies. And so it's really hard to get super comfortable with one without completely leaving the other behind, which has not been too bad of a problem in terms of my accuracy. I'm able to shoot both of these bows very accurately at 100, 120 yards. But it does make a little bit of make it a little more difficult to switch between two different brands. So what the reason I say that is, if we take this bow and we go ahead and put a string or a arrow on here, when you draw this bow, especially at my draw length 29.5 inches, you'll see here, right there, we have a super hard hump that we have to roll over. Now, if you're just out ripping arrows in the backyard, don't really think that's too big of a deal, because you can really change how you draw the bow, pick it up a little bit more, drop in, and not really feel that. But for hunting deer out of a stand, especially when they're up close, anything like that, in my opinion, where you have a super hard a valley or a wall or something that you have to roll the cams over, that becomes somewhat of a liability, especially when it gets cold outside. So I ran into a situation last year when I was hunting with my V3, and it was drawing about 74 pounds at this point. It was probably about 40 degrees outside, which for down here is fairly cold. It does get colder, but that's about where you can expect it to average in the wintertime as far as the colder temperatures go. Well, around 40 degrees, I'm sitting in a blind and I'm seeing some deer, and I just want to take and draw back and see how I react to everything, see kind of what's going on. And I start to draw the bow back, and I realize 74 pounds is a lot more when you're sitting in a ground blind than it is when you're standing up in the backyard flinging arrows downrange. So it kind of made me adjust my thought process coming into season on how I'm going to shoot, what poundages I want to shoot. This bow is set at 70 pounds, and it's shooting a 405 grain arrow at about 305 foot a second. Between 3 and 305 is what it did through the chrono. Got it set about 80% let off or so. And the bow's a shooter. It really is. It's very accurate, as I've said, but just doesn't seem as forgiving on the draw cycle. And part of that, too, does have something to do with my draw length being toward the top end of the cam as opposed to the shorter end. I think if you shot this bow on 28 inches, you would probably have a completely different experience than I do. And that's another thing with Elite bows that I've noticed. They are really, really bad as you get to the top end of that cam as far as the draw cycle goes. It really changes as you move further and further and further out in the draw length. So I probably will not actually hunt with this bow this year unless something drastic changes and I'm able to get in a situation where the actual axle length is not going to matter, just because everywhere I'm going to be hunting is going to be really tight quarters, and having a 33-inch bow is absolutely no way I can get it to work in the situation I'm in currently. So if I was hunting out of tree stands, it wouldn't be near as big of a deal, but we'll be having to hunt out of some blinds this year. And with me being about 5'11", I can't, even shooting my V331 is difficult out of a blind because of my top cam coming very close, if not actually hitting the top of the blind. So this bow is just absolutely not going to work for that. It's just not going to fit in the blind. So I'll still be shooting the V331 this year, and next year we're probably going to try something different. So stay tuned to see what I wind up trading into next year. The bow shop that I really like to go to, they've actually got a new shop going up later this year, starting next year. They said they're hoping to have it ready by January. And so my plan is to wait until January and see what exactly they're going to have in stock. My bow shop guy did say he's wanting to bring in Darton. He's wanting to bring in Prime, which are two brands. I do have some experience with Darton with the Consequence last year, which was a phenomenal shooting bow. I didn't have good luck with it. So Prime I'm also interested in, but I'm really wanting to see how those bows or those brands are going to stack up against Mathews next year and Elite and all the other brands that this guy carries. So stay tuned to see what goes on with all that. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And like I said, Ethos is a great bow. I just don't really think it's going to work for me right now. I will say this one thing, last thing on Elite. Their grip is phenomenal. Elite has one of the best grips, if not the best grip on the market. Nobody touches it, in my opinion, except maybe Darton. But again, that's an opinion, but it's easy grip to actually get your hand placement right. So with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Please stay safe. Stay in the outdoors. God bless you. I'll catch you on the next one.